What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right. So, former NBA player Craig Hodges, who was pretty much blackballed from the NBA because of his outspokenness, his political views, and calling out injustices throughout this country. He was doing this at a time when the NBA culture was not ready for this type of thing. And like I said before, he was pretty much blackballed out of the NBA by 1993. His situation even predated the controversy surrounding Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, which happened in 1996. Now, we're all aware of what's been going on with Kyrie Irving, all of the bootlicks in the media that have turned against Kyrie Irving. And, I think the two guys that people really look at the most, although there are other candidates, Shannon Sharp flip-flopping, Stephen A. flip-flopping all over the place like a fish out of water. But Charles Barkley and Stephen A. Smith have been some of the biggest, most sharpest critics of Kyrie Irving, with Shaq calling Kyrie Irving an idiot, and Charles Barkley always being even more so now that he signed this $200 million contract, a standard, company man now when it comes to shitting on black athletes. Craig Hodges, who's a real one, called this out. And I'll put a link to this article in the pinned comment in the comment section below. The former sharpshooting three-point champion, three-point contest champion, he had this to say. He said, quote, give me 1 second. He said, quote, "I don't know how it works for brothers like Charles and Shaq and other black people in the media, but does someone come up to them before their shows to tell them, here's the script, say this on this topic?" I ask because how else could it be that when everything first came out with Kyrie, we had black people coming at him harder than anyone else, calling him an idiot? Y'all my brothers, but come on now, that's not what we do. Yep. Fuck what this article saying right here. Look, we all know the truth, man. Those dudes, to me, are hired to serve a purpose. They create the illusion of advancement for black people, but in reality, many of them are compromised. I'll just put it like that. They're compromised. And they really don't speak for us, or they put their job and their money and their status ahead of any type of principles they once had or may have had. Okay? These motherfuckers have been completely, you know how sometimes we talk about how people get institutionalized behind bars? Well, I think what happens with people like Stephen A. Smith and others is they become institutionalized from within the corporate structure. Whatever, outsider militant feelings they once had, it begins to evaporate. And they become more and more about money, more and more about status, and their former selves become less and less noticeable. And I truly do believe that. I truly believe over time they metamorphose into something else. Only a few of these people only few are able to withstand this, or they see what's going on and they ultimately leave that structure. But these black analysts, they don't usually have our best interest in mind. They're the perfect slaves for the system. They're happy that they got those jobs. They know there's a spotlight on them. And at the end of the day, you know, they're not going to have the voices. They're not going to be able to say the things they really want to say. And instinctively, like good lapdogs, they're going to go harder on black athletes than their white counterparts. And because of the mentality of the coon, he's not, or she ain't, or they're not going to go as hard on white athletes or their white counterparts. It's just how they are. People see it. White people see it. They see that shit. But it's beneficial to them, so they're not going to call anything out about it. I wouldn't either if I was white. But at the end of the day, you know, we know what time it is with these athletes. And I'm glad Craig Hodges said that shit. And I'm glad he called out, these athletes turned analysts. They some of the worst ones. But yeah, it's not a coincidence that when it comes to this situation, they were the hardest on Kyrie, and when it came to the elixir, they were the hardest on Kyrie. So that's all I got to say about it, man. Tell me what you guys think.